Hey guys, welcome to Confidence Equals Beauty with Amanda Taylor. I'm your host, Amanda Taylor. Hope you guys are having a wonderful and beautiful week. This week for us, it has been fall break, and which has really thrown my entire routine off, and I keep forgetting that even though school may be out, that extracurricular activities in the evenings are still going on. So we have really had to kind of laugh at myself that my Google Calendar is going off and I keep forgetting that I put it in the Google Calendar, and then realize, oh yeah, we do have ballet. Oh, we do have jazz. Oh yeah, we do have this and we do have that. And it's been very interesting when you're off routine, which I'm going to say right now, thank God that fall is finally getting here, and Alabama is finally feeling a little bit of cooler temperatures. There's nothing more annoying than going to a pumpkin patch and sweating. And, when you think of pumpkin patches and you think of fall, you think of flannel and just cozy and crisp air. You think about, the corn mazes and the hay rides and picking out the perfect pumpkin. But instead, what actually happens here is you're pouring down sweat in t-shirts and shorts. And you get these t-shirts and shorts possibly monogrammed, or you get them printed in a fall theme. So your pictures will look super cute when you're taking the quote-unquote fall pictures to send to the family. But in reality, all you see is t-shirts and shorts and a lot of sweat and wet hair holding this big, beautiful pumpkin that you're not going to take home because it will rot before Halloween even gets here. And you just have to kind of laugh it off. But this week, I will say, the temperature's finally getting comfortable and feeling like how fall should feel. So, I experienced something the other day. I'm going through a new program that I decided I needed some more self-care, more self-growth, learning, things to challenge myself. And so I'm taking this course online that is really trying to, basically it's to stretch and mold me into the woman I really am trying to become. And as I'm kind of going through the first initial stages of this, self-doubt really started creeping in. Self-doubt to where I'm having anxiety, I'm feeling like I'm not good enough, comparisons kicking in, all the things that all the time I'm like, yeah, I'm working through this, I've got this, I'm doing it, I've got confidence going on, and then I start something new, something challenging, something that I've never done before, and all of a sudden, self-doubt creeps in. And so, the only way I know how to tackle this is I'm going to teach you what I've been currently going through, what I've been researching, and kind of I don't even know how to even describe it, but I think I want to go on this journey with you, because I think it happens a lot, and we tend to push it aside, or we just beat ourselves up over self-doubt. And I want to just kind of talk about it today. I kind of want to talk about some of the things that I've looked up on Google. I have read through other podcasts, things that I have searched, reading different books. And I just want to know, what is the biggest problem with self-doubt in women? And I find myself struggling with this question. What is the biggest problem with self-doubt in women? And if I was honest, my question for myself is, what is my biggest self-doubt? And my biggest self-doubt, honestly, is in a new situation, I completely almost deflate, and I'm at a place where I'm just like, oh crap, I cannot do this. And it becomes very overwhelming. But if I go back and I look at history, time and time again, when I was faced with the unknown, I was faced with some of the hardest things I've ever had to deal with, when I have had new amazing opportunities, when I had a dream or a goal, anything that I have faced, yes, the self-doubt kicked in like crazy. I had to work through it. But I look back and I overcame every situation. Now, in these situations that I have overcome, it may not look like the outcome I wanted it to. It may have turned out my expectations didn't get met, but it did turn out probably for the better. But what I'm saying is everything I went out, when I became a single mom and I was stressing and freaking out with so much self-doubt of how was I going to be able to be single and raise my daughter alone, I look back and I overcame that. It meant changing perspective. It meant, okay, budget changing because there's no longer two incomes. It looked like moving from a large home to a very small, quaint home that was perfect for my daughter and I. When I met my husband, going through the process of meeting someone new, that I had a lot of self-doubt. Am I good enough for him? Is he someone that, am I someone? Is he someone I can love? Am I someone that he can love? Like all that self-doubt. Well, guess what? We're going on 7 years now in this new marriage. Well, I call it new marriage, but 7 years. And a beautiful, strong marriage that I would have never had I not gone through the divorce that I went through. You know, and then I questioned, okay, I'm going to be a stepmom to 3 boys. How does that look? And I remember being terrified of, will they like me? Will I be good enough? Well, I know I'm not their mother, but as a stepmother, how in the world can I be important in their lives? Or how can I blend our family? And guess what? It happened. Even though I doubted myself, it happened. We're a family. Yeah, we're blended. And yeah, we have our issues, but we're a family. And it's worked itself out. And so those are the things, I look at when I had my first, second, and third miscarriage, thinking, how am I going to do this? I don't have the confidence to face the world, to heal. I don't know how I'm going to deal with all this, the emotional pain that comes with it, the talking about it and all that. But guess what? Yeah, it still stings. Yeah, it still hurts. But guess what? I got through it. I'm still working through it. And so those are the things that I want to ask you is, what are your biggest self-doubts? What is your biggest problem with self-doubt? And like I said before, I would say I can tell you right now, I've done an amazing job of really overcoming self-doubt. But, when something new happens, the ugly self-doubt monster, it will show up. And it has shown up. And I have to go through this whole process of freaking out. Thinking of how I'm not good enough and overwhelmed and just thinking that I cannot do anything right or I will fail if I do try anything new. I've also had to make myself turn to positive self-talk. And we've talked about this in past episodes. Working through anxiety techniques. We've talked about those in past episodes. And I've learned if I do not turn to these techniques, I will find myself in a negative spiral of self-doubt, thinking and feeling the worst about myself. And it's not until I do the work and the techniques of telling myself the truth. Yes, this may be new and scary. Yes, I may not have a clue how to start the process of something new, but I do know the truth. I do know that I am fearfully and created and wonderfully made, and I just said that all backwards at that scripture, but I am created in God's image, and I know the truth. I know God did not create me to fail. I know the truth of the good that I have to say to myself, and then I have to say it out loud. And yes, for you can do the hard things. You are more than capable of setting and achieving new goals. You are amazing. You are a beautiful person. And I have to tell myself, like I'm telling you, yes, this is the truth. You're amazing. You're wonderful. You're beautiful. And so for me, it's not until I utilized maybe deep breathing techniques like exercises, deep breathing, meditation, relaxation, that I finally get the courage to go for it. It's not until I do the self-talk of, Amanda, you are amazing and wonderful. And so that's the same thing I will say to you. When you find yourself in self-doubt, you may have to take and verbally say out loud, write it in a journal, what you really are. Not what you think you are, but who you really are. If you're finding yourself with anxiety, practicing anxiety techniques, deep breathing, meditation, visualization of something calming and peaceful. Those things, those techniques help when you're feeling self-doubt. So, as I'm talking, I'm sure many of us women are agreeing. You're nodding your head. Yeah, I deal with self-doubt. So in my rabbit hole of searching and pondering, here is what I've learned, and from other resources, that I really think the biggest problem with self-doubt in women is that it often leads to underestimating our abilities and potential, which can hold us back from pursuing opportunities and taking risks and reaching our full potential. And this lack of confidence may result in missed career advancements. Maybe you're reluctant to speak up or advocating for ourselves. Maybe advocating for our children. Advocating for those who we love. Difficulty overcoming challenges, even if we are fully capable of doing so. Self-doubt can also fuel a cycle of perfectionism, comparison, fear of failure, leading to increased stress, anxiety, and lower in self-esteem. So I think addressing self-doubt often requires challenging internal narrative, seeking supportive communities, and practicing self-comparison to build confidence over time. And I need to make a disclosure right here, as I heard some music pull up beside me. I am once again in my car waiting on my children to finish their activities, because sometimes this is the only time I can squeeze in a recording. So once again, and there is a fair going on behind me, which I think is very interesting, being in a parking lot and then there's a field and a fair behind me. So I do apologize if there's a lot of outside noise. But let me get back on topic. Self-doubt is a pervasive issue that affects many women, often leading to underestimation of our abilities and potential. And this internalized skepticism can manifest in various aspects of life, including, like I said, career, professional relationships, and overall self-esteem. So I wanted to kind of figure out, when I was going through this research, where are some major, really big areas, if I could just summarize possibly 3 areas that I think women, and once again, this podcast is not just geared for women, but y'all are the target, because I'm a woman, and it's easy for me to talk to other women versus try to talk about men issues and problems, because I'm not a man. But I think men struggle with self-doubt too. It just looks different. But here are the things that I kind of narrowed down that I think we all can relate to when it comes to self-doubt. And the first is career advancement. Women may hesitate to pursue promotions or leadership roles, fearing they are not qualified or capable enough. And this reluctance can result in missed opportunities and a persistent cycle of undervaluing oneself. And I think it's very interesting to note this. When I did a little research and did a little study, men, when they're looking for a position in their career, they will see the qualifications. And if they have about 50 to 75% of the qualifications, they will go ahead and apply for the position. And what I've learned is they just apply and figure they will learn the skills needed when they get the job. Where women, we will see, if we only have 50 to 75% of the qualifications, we will not even attempt to apply for the job, because we feel we may need 95 to 100% of the qualifications before we will apply for the position. And I think that's so fascinating that women, that we have to be almost perfect or have it all together or know every qualification before we ever apply. So no wonder self-doubt creeps in all the time. If are looking at the glass like half empty, yeah, we're not. We're like, I know I don't have that qualification, or no, I don't have that. I'm not going to even apply because I'm not going to get the job because I don't have it. But where a man is like, I don't know it yet, but I will. And I wonder if we started looking at the glass half full and we are capable of learning what we don't know as we go, I think we would take more chances in asking for career advancement opportunities. I think we would apply for the jobs. And I have these conversations with my husband as he is, he reads a lot of resumes and he does consultant work for people looking for jobs and other areas, as part of his career. And he said, he's like, I'll look and see if the company will pay for a certification program or a class I can take so I can learn that one skill I don't have. So I'll apply with the idea of I'm going to learn. I will learn that. I will eventually get it. And I just thought it was so interesting because I'm like, no, I wouldn't even dare. I know. I mean, this is a silly example, but if I don't know how to copy and paste a document, no, I'm not signing up. Because what if I have to copy and paste documents all the time? And my husband kind of laughs, and I know it's a silly example, but he laughs. He goes, but the more you do it, the more you'll learn it, and you will have it. And I just think women, if we can just stop looking at what we are not qualified for and look at what we are qualified for and look that we can potentially take continuing education courses, we can research, we can read, we can look things up, that we should go ahead and apply for that job or that advancement, that job opportunity, the promotion, because we probably could, or if not, let me rephrase that. I know for a fact when we put our mind to something and we've set our mind to something, we get it done. Hence, the toilets are cleaned in the house, laundry is folded, our kids get to and from activities, our bills get paid, we make sure there's dinner on the table, and if there's not dinner on the table, we make sure somehow our family's fed. We make sure those diapers get cleaned up and thrown away. We make sure things get done. But we were never qualified to be a mom in the beginning. We didn't have it. We had maybe 50 or 75% of it, but by God, we did it. We raised them babies. We went through the hard time, and some moms are looking back like, I raised my kid. I went through puberty. We went through teenage years, and now, I'm glad that part's over. I mean, you think about it. We don't think twice about that, but yet we will second guess ourselves and starting a new career opportunity, even starting our own business. Because we don't have the 95 to 100% qualifications that potentially could happen. We don't give ourselves credit that we can learn, and what we are qualified, we could be amazing at, and we are amazing at, but we just hold back. Something to ponder and think about. So I'm hoping maybe after saying that, you'll be like, I am going to ask for that promotion. I'll learn as I go. I got it. I have 50, 75% of the qualification, and I'm more than capable of doing the job. So next is personal relationships. And women often doubt their worth when it comes to relationships. So doubting their worth can lead women to settle for less in relationships, whether it's with friends, family, or romantic partners. And this mindset may prevent us from advocating for our needs and desires. And I had a conversation with my husband about this topic, and we compared about how much he speaks his mind than I do. And when we were discussing this further, his reason was that he had nothing to lose. And keeping his opinion to himself, he did have everything to lose. And that was very interesting because it opened my eyes to the idea that I hold back so much because I am so scared I have everything to lose if I finally speak up or I say something. Or I will lose that friendship, or I will offend someone, or I'll piss someone else off. And I do kind of think, now this could be a stereotype to the South, and this is kind of like, I guess, I don't like stereotypes, I don't like negative stigmas, which is why I'm trying to do this podcast to overcome them, but I do think that in where the area I've been raised, women have been taught to be good and nice, polite, apologize, wait your turn, be pretty, sweet, those kind of things. And when we speak up, there is a fear that we're not good and nice, and we fear we will offend others and the relationship will be damaged. And it's also, like I said, contributes to society accepting the roles of males having dominating personalities and being in charge, where women are taught to be sweet and good girls. And in relationships, I do believe it's important to speak out the truth, especially about what's happening to you, because if the other person does not know what's going on or what is happening to you, they also do not know how to do their part in the relationship to make the relationship grow and form maybe the closeness you desire. And this could be friendships, family members, romantic relationships. And I like the perspective my husband has. If he doesn't speak up and say what he needs to say about the betterment of our marriage, he does have everything to lose, because when you don't talk, and I'm not like speaking up and defending yourself and being rude and all that. I'm talking more about like, hey, if someone said something that hurt your feelings, I think you can tell them, hey, that hurt my feelings. And they can either tell their side of the story, you listen, you share your side, and y'all come to a agreement, compromise of, hey, let's try not to speak like that to each other again. But like I said, oftentimes women will have self-doubt. They won't do it. I think some women who have self-doubt in their self-esteem and who they are as women will pick less than desired partners for themselves. And they will go through the abuse and go through the negatives that come from those type of relationships, because their self-doubt doesn't think that they are worthy of more. And let me just tell you this, you are worthy of more. So in moving on, the next that I think self-doubt really affects is mental health. And I do believe that chronic self-doubt is linked to increased stress, anxiety, and depression. And the consistent inner criticism can erode self-esteem and hinder personal growth. And if you're constantly, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, or that wasn't good enough, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that, oh, I'm too scared, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough. I'm like, you see the negativity. If you keep going through that, and as I'm saying those, I even noticed as my speech started kind of started going rapidly, and I was like, myself was starting to feel some anxiety as I was speaking in this recording of the negativity. So when you are in a chronic mental state of self-doubt and not believing in yourself and what you're capable of, this does create feelings and thoughts and mental health issues. And let me just kind of tell you this, the good news about this is that you can reverse all of your self-doubt. It's refocusing your story of when you say something negative and you're telling yourself all the bad things and how you're not good enough, or you're questioning yourself. You can actually verbally change that narrative to what you can achieve. And so let me use this podcast as an example. Y'all, I'm still learning as I go. But I knew if I didn't take the first step, I would not do it. And leading up to starting this podcast, there was so much anxiety. I'm going to sound like cornbread. My grammar is awful when I talk, because I don't care. I'm Southern. I could speak more politely and use better grammar, but I'm just kind of talking like I talk when I talk to my friends. I had so much fear over editing, and do I edit or do I just bring you the raw me, authentic me? I had so much stress of, I don't even know how to do this. Like, what platform do I use? What? And oh my God. And it took me, I think, 6 months before I pulled this trigger on this podcast. And guess what? As I've been doing this podcast, I've been learning a little more. Talking a little better. I still sound like cornbread, but I think y'all are used to it by now. But I have been learning. My platform changed, and I'm still learning a new program. So the recordings are not what they were in season 1. I'm learning as I go. But had I let that self-doubt take control, I would not be able to create the community that we have, share my love and my heart with you, the passion that I feel for wanting women to see themselves as who they are, meet them in the season they are, and just love themselves and build the confidence they need to overcome the negative stigmas, specifically mental health stigmas. But guess what? We have stigmas in our life we placed over ourselves. And that's kind of what I want to talk about is when you're feeling self-doubt, the narrative is, this is how I changed the narrative. I don't know what I'm doing. Guess what, Amanda? Click on the button. Go to the website. Go to the platform. YouTube it. Google it. Read other people's blogs and books and things like that on how they did their podcast. Okay. See that narrative? I can do that. I can research. Amanda, your grammar is awful. Well, I could write everything out. That way it is more proper grammar and use Grammarly and editing programs to make it not so Alabama, Southern. Okay, see that narrative? Changed it. I can do this. Self-doubt. No one cares. No one's going to listen. But you know what? I do have some listeners. There's somebody out there that needs to hear this today. And I don't know who you are, but God put it on my heart, so I'm hoping it reaches you. That's what I'm talking about, changing the narrative. I struggle with anxiety, depression, but that doesn't define me. Yeah, I may have anxiety, but I can do a technique that calms my nerves. I am capable of moving forward, and I can achieve what I set myself out to. That's what I'm talking about, is changing the narrative into a more positive narrative to overcome that self-doubt. So here are some basic strategies to overcome self-doubt. Challenge negative thought patterns. Recognize and confront the internal narratives that fuel self-doubt. Replace negative thoughts with positive affirmations and realistic assessments of your capabilities. And I only gave y'all that in that example that I gave. Seek supportive communities. Surround yourself with individuals and groups that uplift and encourage you. Share experience you can provide perspectives and diminish feelings of isolations. On Facebook, guys, you can follow me at Confidence Equals Beauty with Amanda Taylor. There's a whole thing where I'm sending inspiration quotes. I try to put videos up that just give you hope and let you see that you can be part of something bigger. And then there's also another community that's called Confidence Equals Beauty Love You. And these women in that community support each other and lift each other up. And so I want to encourage you, if you're not part of a community, look up those communities. I would love for you to be part of us and bring in positive aspects and change for yourself. And if you find yourself alone, I'm going to encourage you, find different organizations that you can be part of. Maybe there's a Women Who Lunch. Maybe there's a church organization, a workout group, community theater. Heck, I'm taking a tap class, an adult tap class, for the first time ever, because I've never done it and I've always wanted to do it. And I am finding beautiful friendships in that. Get involved in a supportive community. Set achievable goals. Break larger objects into smaller, manageable tasks. These approaches can build confidence as you accomplish each step. Reinforce your beliefs in your abilities. So no, you're not going to cure cancer. Not in a month. Maybe not in a year. But you can break down the steps of what you need this component. And then you break up what's the next task. And what's the next task. Until that goal is met. Practice self-compassion. And I can't emphasize this one enough. Treat yourself with kindness and understanding, especially during challenging times. knowing your efforts and progress regardless of the outcome. And I can use when I lost my job. My first job I ever lost, I was an adult woman and had that career for 10 years. And I got laid off. I was one of few that got laid off. And that was the most terrifying experience I'd ever gone through. I had just bought my own house, new single mom, new mortgage. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I remember just saying, you stupid, why would you make mistakes? Why did you do it? Why didn't you do this? Why did you do that? And reality is there's a lot of things that were out of my control. There were things I did absolutely correct, and there were things that maybe slipped through the cracks. I couldn't help that I got a divorce during that time, and I was really, really struggling. I can't help it that the company needed to lay off some people, and I happened to be on that list because they needed budget changes. I can't control that. But I did have to teach myself how to work through being scared, love on myself and forgive myself for if I made mistakes or if I did not. I had to work through, all right, what's the next step? What's the next step? And what's the next step? And eventually it all worked itself out. Same thing with my divorce. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how I was going to go through it. I didn't know how I was going to go through that whole painful process, but my stepmother gave me the best advice. One step at a time, one moment at a time. And when you look back, you will see how far you came. And sure enough, I can do that. In the moment, it wasn't easy. But I followed that advice and I did it. And I know you can. Self-compassion. You mess up, forgive yourself. When you are in the spiral of self-doubt and you're able to pull yourself out of it, tell yourself, okay, you had a moment. You had a moment. You don't have to beat yourself up like, oh my God, you went back to that self-care or that self-doubt and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. No, you don't have to do that. Be like, Amanda, good job. Good job for pulling yourself out of that rabbit hole. So by actively addressing self-doubt, women can unlock their full potential, and I believe you can, leading to more fulfilling careers, healthy relationships, and improve your mental health being. So my biggest encouragement for everybody listening, do not underestimate your amazing qualities. You have so much to believe in yourself, and you have so much self-confidence that you can find in who you are. And guys, if you find this episode inspiration, I know it's been long-winded, so thank you for hanging out with me. I can talk, y'all. Just think how it is if you and I hung out together in real life. We would have a great time. Or you may be like, this girl talks way too much. I don't know, but sorry, I am who I am. Actually, I shouldn't apologize. I love who I am. I love that I'm a talker, and I love that I am passionate about loving on y'all. But if you find this helpful, or you know of a friend who's struggling with self-doubt, please share this. Download this, share this. Please like, subscribe so you can be updated on these. All I want to do is just grow a community of women who lift each other up, who may be facing some of the things that I'm talking about, and we work through it together. That way you can be the best version of yourself. And remember, confidence equals beauty.